He is Joe Judge. Coach Jerry and Boomer Esiason with you, and we appreciate a couple of minutes. And, first I'm going to start with this because Boomer was just talking about how, you went in there, you got the job with the interview, and you got the recommendation from Coach Belichick. What the hell did you do in that interview that you blew away Mr. Mara so much?
I was just being myself, man. Just being myself. I figured if I was going to go in there and talk about it, I want to make sure that our philosophies lined up and the way we see the team and what it would take to build a successful program. So I just told the truth on every question I was asked, and we ended up hitting it off, having pretty good rapport.
Yeah, you certainly did, Joe, and it's finally good to talk to you. You were hired January 8th. Rudy Gobert of the Utah Jazz is diagnosed with COVID-19 on March 11th. The NBA shuts down. Everybody follows after that. And I was just thinking, here's a coach who's never been a head coach in the NFL. I'm sure you worked under Nick Saban and Bill Belichick. You worked under two of the greatest head coaches in the history of their respective sports. But now you are tasked with putting a staff together, trying to figure out, who are the good players, who are the players that you want to keep along with Dave Gettleman, and yet you can't do it in person with your guys. How difficult has the offseason been up to this point?
Well, we were fortunate we had the entire staff assembled by that point. We had already been working together for over a month, went to the combine, continued working on some schematics and things like that to get on the same page as the staff. Really, when we got, I'd say, kicked out of the building and the pandemic hit was really around the time leading up to the draft with all the pro days. So we were actually pulling guys off the road. And that was the biggest thing. In fact, I remember when the NBA walked off the court, there was a group of us who were having dinner together that night, and we got the word, hey, the NBA just walked off, and that's when you kind of knew, like, all right, something's up, something's going on. We got to go ahead and figure out what we're going to do next. But I'll tell you what now, like, we got a resilient staff. The whole thing just changed in the head. Sudden change, the way the game's going to be played. But we shifted into working virtually, and, we found out pretty fast, our guys, can be pretty tech savvy when they have to be. So we lived in the world of Zoom for, a spring and part of a summer, but it's a lot better to be here right now together.
Yeah, I'm sure it is. And, not only was it the pandemic, it also was the George Floyd murder up in Minneapolis, players speaking out about social justice issues and everything else. And I can't imagine that anybody would have thought that you would have had to deal with all of this. How has that part of it been for you and your players?
I'd say this. I think sometimes the adversity, it really brings you closer as a team. And we've had the opportunity, even though through the spring with everything that went on, and we weren't in the same room together talking, but it gave us opportunities to actually have real conversations about different things. We knew we were working through different obstacles together. So that, to me, was very important to really see some of the character of the team. And when we came together, we didn't have any strangers. We had a good beat on each other as far as what we were as people. We could see some of the character of the guys through how we handled some of the things that came up through the spring. That was all really encouraging. I think a lot of people focused more on, what you can't do or what's different about the NFL right now. Look, we get to wake up every day, play football, coach football. That's pretty good right there. So, we focus on what we can do, what we have to do to get the team better, improve, and work towards where we want to go. But the guys coming with that mentality every day, we've had good urgency. We've had great work on the field, and they're fun to be around. It's a fun bunch.
Giants coach Joe Judge with us, Giants Wednesday here on the Fan. Was there ever a point this summer where you did not think games would be played? And I know we're still a long ways away from that happening, but it does seem like we are headed in that direction. Was there ever a time where you sat there and said, boy, with what's going on in the world, maybe this isn't to be this season?
You know what? I mean, I always thought we were going to play. We kind of had that established we're going to play. You're not sure, are they going to delay it? You kind of see some of the stuff that was going on with college. How's that trickle into our league? You just start preparing for different scenarios. To be honest with you, I was down the Gulf at the beach with my family, as we do every summer, and we're having league conference calls, and you're kind of mapping out different calendars. Like, okay, if this gets pushed back a few weeks, how do we handle this? If training camp starts late, how do we handle this? So you're kind of working and thinking through all the scenarios. I never thought we weren't going to play. You knew that it was a possibility, but I just felt like the season was going to happen, and I think all the things the league did to put the protocols in place, look, it's been very effective at this point. Our guys have a lot of confidence in it. We come to work every day. We focus on just the things that we have to do to stay safe and stay healthy around each other. And I guess the weird thing is that maybe it's not weird that we're all wearing masks. It's not weird that we're all testing every day. It's just part of what we do. It's part of our routine, and we just go about it.
Coach Belichick, I'm sure, would say no excuses, no days off. Let's go to work. Let's put our heads down, and let's appreciate what we're able to do. And I think you're trying to bring that same mentality to the New York Giants. There have been other disciples that have come from Bill Belichick that have not been successful because they try to be him. And I'm just wondering, how do you go about trying just to be you while still trying to instill some of the things that you learn from a guy like Coach Belichick?
Well, first off, I've had the opportunity to work for a tremendous amount of coaches who have been great at what they do. And I've taken something from every coach I've worked or played for, and I've always just understood I have to do it in my own personality. That, I'm not trying to recreate anywhere I've been. I'm not trying to imitate anyone I've ever worked for. I've got my own personality. I think the team sees that and knows it, and maybe sees a little more than sometimes I reveal, in the public eye. But, to me, it's got to be genuine. It's got to be sincere. If you lie to the players, they know right away. And once you lie to them, you never get them back. So, to me, I'm going to do this in my own personality, my own way. But the things that I've found along the way as being a player or a coach that I thought were, good building blocks to a team or which have worked in the past, I'm going to use those because I'm going to trust the process that I know to be successful. And I'm going to go ahead and adjust it to what fits our players best.
And outside looking in, obviously a lot's been made about these laps and all that. I love it. I think it's great holding players accountable. I do. I think it's tremendous because of the reason why you do it. Yeah,
Well, Joe should know that I make you guys run laps.
Yeah, well, you also throw us in the walls and elevators.
Yes, exactly.
I love holding players accountable. Have they been receptive to it? And, in the week and a half you've been on the field, have you seen a change in guys doing the right things now in the last 10 days?
Well, I think it comes through the nature of just training camp, that over time the mistakes start getting eliminated. It's not about a punishment. It's about just understanding that in the game there's consequences. And you can't expect consequences to be, managed in games if you don't practice them in practice. So when something comes up, we handle it accordingly. Someone has a fumble, someone turns the ball over in practice, well, they're not going to be in the game the next play. The defense has the ball. So you fumble the ball, you come out. You make a mistake. There's a difference in a mental error and a technique mistake and something that's not forced, okay, jumping off sides, having a false start, fumbling a ball, all right, breaking the huddle with 12 in the huddle, something of that nature. These are things we can control. There's no excuse for. So it's not about punishment. It's just about guys understanding, listen, there's accountability to what we do. It's important to focus in, to lock in, and to make sure that we're doing the best thing for the team all the time. Professional athletes, running a lap ain't the worst thing. The biggest punishment you see with the players is they miss an opportunity to take a rep. That's what they're most frustrated with. But I've been part of it as an assistant. Now I'm as a head coach. It's something I do believe in right there. It's just, hey, it's about a daily reminder every day that we have to do the right thing.
Oh, I love it, Joe. The NARPs that I work with don't understand that stuff over here. That would be a non-athletic regular person. That's what these people are here that I work with every day. So I always find it to be the most important relationship on a team happens to be the quarterback and the head coach, especially when that quarterback is a young man that a team can believe in, that a franchise can believe in. Now, I certainly have seen a lot of quarterbacks in my time, played the position. I think Daniel Jones is going to be a special player. I think he has what it takes, the want to be that special player. You watched one of the great all-time relationships between Bill Belichick and Tom Brady up close and personal for about 8 or 9 years. Mm-hmm. Can you create that type of relationship with Daniel Jones?
Well, I think the first thing is every relationship's unique, as you know from playing it. I'd say, look, there's obviously a lot of things with Bill and Tom that, we weren't privy to, that was truly their relationship. That was between them. And I think the biggest thing is, really have a relationship, me and Daniel, through the course of time and dealing with each other and developing trust. That's really where it's going to come from. I love working with the dude. He comes to work every day. He's very driven. He's very focused. This is a guy who, maybe a little bit quiet in nature, but he ain't quiet around the team. He's got a good command of the huddle. He handles the line of scrimmage with adjustments very well. I'm pleased with the way he's picking up the offense. There's always things to improve on, but he comes to work every day. And when you correct something, you don't really see it come back up again, which that's the biggest part. It's not, the sin isn't making a mistake. The sin is repeating the mistake. So he's definitely a guy that kind of comes in every day and looks to build on what he did the day before and improve on it.
That's great. And let's talk a little bit about your defense and your secondary. It seems like a big worry spot. You may not feel that way, but most of the people outside think that you guys are going to be struggling in the secondary, especially with all the things that have gone on here in the offseason with DeAndre Baker and him not being in camp. Give us an assessment of your defenses, particularly your secondary.
Well, I'll tell you what, I love the way they're working every day. I mean, they've shown a lot of improvement from day one to where we are now. It's, look, we have a young team, which is a positive, but with a young team, there's a lot of daily improvement that has to take place, a lot of just understanding the situation they're playing in. There's a lot of new techniques they're working they haven't necessarily done in the past. So these are things that take a little bit of time. I mean, it's still training camp. We're training them to do it the way we need to have it done. But I'm pleased with the improvement I see. I'm pretty pleased with the way they come to work every day. And, again, it's a very coachable group, so they make it fun to come.
Giants head coach Joe Judge with us. Giants Wednesday on the Fan. I'm going to ask a very Narpian question since Boomer used the word already. What the hell? So I saw a photo of, I guess it was the secondary, either holding tennis balls or they were taped to their hands. Is that so they catch the ball, or is that for penalties? What is that for?
You know, we came out of the scrimmage the other day with just too many holding penalties, and we just want to make a point that we're going to give our guys a chance to grab on jerseys. So we're going to start making plays with our feet and running in place. So, look, it's something I've been a part of, from college to different pro organizations where they're putting boxing gloves on their hands or, taping tennis balls to their hands, but something that restricts their ability just to grab. And they've got to be more conscious about how they play with their feet, the position they're going to be in. We're not going to coach or accept penalties, so we're going to make sure we do it right.
Well, I like it. I like it, Jerry. So that's what we're going to work on around here with you guys. You guys need to work, especially. Joe, final question for me, and that really is your overall thoughts about becoming a head coach in the NFL, and is it everything you thought it would be? I know that I talked to my college roommate Frank Reich when he was, given the job in Indianapolis, and he said he couldn't believe the amount of decisions that a head coach has to make, and this is away from the field and all the things that you deal with on a daily basis.
It's not that dealing with the players is a mass. I've done that enough throughout my career that wasn't anything that was shocking or really different. The one thing that's funny is, they don't stop knocking on the door and the phone don't stop ringing. And 90% of the time, it's not about football. So you're dealing with things in terms of facility setups. You're dealing with, travel logistics. There's a lot of things that, before you get to the football, you have to handle. And we've got a great staff. Brian Holler's my guy, our chief of staff. He takes a lot out of my plate, and that's been really good. When you get to the football, you absolutely love it. And that's been definitely a positive with it. I think the biggest thing that was kind of a shock that first walkthrough went through as a group, Boomer, it's the first time I've gone on the field and not had a specific place to go. And you walk out that first time, you think, okay, that's right. I'm not here to watch everybody. I'm not here to make sure everything's going right. So that's definitely a different feel right there. And then after a day or two, you kind of get used to it. You get a pattern of what you want to see on a daily basis. The drill's going on. You know how you set up practice. And you just start prioritizing, okay, in this period I have to see, this person or this position group. You start moving around. It's been very positive. I've really enjoyed it. I love having a connection with all the players. It's something throughout my career I've been fortunate to have, through different positions I've coached and different, units I've coordinated. But to be honest with you, it's the biggest surprise to me was the amount of non-football stuff. Even those people tell you on the front end, until you really get in there and experience it, you don't really understand.
Yeah, that's exactly what Frank said. But I also will say that you did make a very, very significant hire as your offensive coordinator, former head coach of the Dallas Cowboys, Jason Garrett. I'm sure he brings a wealth of experience knowing your division and knowing what's going on, especially one of your chief rivals, the Dallas Cowboys. So that was a very, very smart hire on your part.
Well, I'm pleased with all our coaches we hired. Jason's done a great job. Obviously, I can lean on him with a lot of questions, information from his experience in the league and this division specifically. Pat Graham's been a tremendous help to me. He's a guy that understands what we're trying to do in the program. We've worked together in the past, but we've been other places. So he's been on the front end. The staff's coming in. He understands some of the challenges of implementing a culture and a system we want to build and how that goes different places. And T-Mac's been here. So as far as knowing the culture and the heartbeat of the team of what it's been the last few years, and he's a guy that I've competed against as a coach. I have a lot of great respect for him and his units. But, him being able to link of how it carries over from where they've been to where we're going. So all three of the coordinators I'm leaning on a lot for going forward. And we got a lot of great experience on the staff as a whole. Guys I've worked with in the past who have had different experiences since we've worked together, and guys I haven't worked with that bring a different perspective to what we're doing. So, look, I'm all ears. I'll listen to anything. Ultimately, I have to make the final decision, make what's best for the team. But I tell the guys all the time, if you've got an idea, if you got something you want to talk about, I'm all ears. My door's always open for the players or the coaches. And then, at the end of the day, I got to make the best decision for the team going forward.
Last thing for me, because we've had you for 15 minutes, haven't even mentioned him yet. Your thoughts before you got here and now that you've been here on Saquon and how much better he can be?
Oh, well, I think this guy's got a tremendous amount of ability. But the most impressive thing for me about him is how he works. And there's a lot of guys in the league who kind of feel that I've arrived or, I am who I am and kind of just don't screw me up by coach me. He's a guy that wants to be coached. He's a guy that comes to work every day. He sits in the front of the room as far as, meetings. He's taking notes constantly. You make a coaching point to him on the field. He carries it out. He plays hard, plays the game the right way. He's someone that, obviously everyone in the league has a tremendous amount of respect for his ability from afar. And now dealing with him on a one-on-one basis, I'm very impressed by how he comes to work, and that's really for our entire group. Is this group of players, I couldn't tell you how pleased I am with and how fun it is to come in every day with a group of guys that really bust their tail for you. They do whatever you ask them to. They do it to the best of their ability, and they're coachable as they're doing it. So, look, it's hot out there. Guys get tired. A lot of times they want to shut it down mentally in terms of, hey, look, I've had enough of hearing your voice today, Coach. They haven't been that way at all. We stay on these guys. We're trying to coach everyone hard. We want to make sure we coach everyone the right way and that we don't, give anybody an opportunity to lose to improve on the field. So what Saquon has been phenomenal in that regard.
Joe, did you just say the players are like hot? The coach anymore? I mean, these players don't know what two-a-days are. They don't even have preseason games, for God's sake.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Now it's a different feel in terms of the length of camp.
Yes,
in that you've just gotten started, and at the same time you're just wrapping up. But the guys understand the urgency we have to have. This is something we talked about from the beginning of when they got here. There's the acclimation period. I think our guys really approached that full speed. We were able to implement a lot of our schemes and installs. So when we got the pads, we weren't really putting a lot of new things in. We could just pick up what we've already installed and start, getting the execution and the timing right on the field.
Well, man, you're going to have a hell of a start. You got a hell of a first month, and I know that you don't look past one game. But good luck opening night against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Thanks for spending so much time with us this morning, and man, it's going to be quite the ride. And congratulations.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate the time today.
All right, Joe. Take care. It's Joe Judge, the head coach of the New York Giants. He's good at Jerry, huh?
I agree. Both of them very impressive. So. Good luck to him because it is one hell of a first half.
Yeah,
of the season.
You know what he has? He has a lot of energy. You could hear it, and that's what you want. And I think I talked to a bunch of my Giant friends yesterday and told them we were going to have him on. And when they hired him, everybody was like, "What?"